I woke up and the daylight was gentle, different from the usual scorching sun. It's a rainy day in the tropicals, so it's a day in. So I put on some retro music from It's such a vibe. It sets such a mood for whatever work I'm doing that day. So thanks Cayman for recommending me this whole atmosphere. I took a shower and now my hair is as wet as the palm trees outside my window. And of course you have to treat yourself, even if you're staying in, especially if you're staying in. So put on a very comfy t-shirt, put on this necklace that I got in San Francisco for good vibes. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like it's like a green gemstone. And this lovely earring. It's more like I don't know what it's called, it's like it dangles from my ear. So it's not, I don't have piercings, but I have this. So I'm starting this series called A Question a Day. So yes, I will be your weather woman for the day. I will also answer a quirky question because I am a fan of those. So maybe this series will be called QQ, short for quirky questions. I was and still am a big fan of the 36 questions that supposedly lead to love. Even though I don't believe that it leads to love, how it works is it asks all these really personal questions to get two people to open up to each other. So I played those with my mom, with my best friend, with strangers of course, not necessarily fall in love, but just to get to know them. And yeah, it's been super fun. Something interesting I've noticed is my answer will always vary, not only from person to person, but also across time. And it's really interesting to see how I've changed along the way, because you always change more than you realize. That's kind of the beauty of life. It's scary, but it's beautiful. And that's why I'm starting this series. A documentation of my quirky thoughts changing as I dance my way through life. And I'd like to share them, because there are some really good experiences I've had and honestly will keep having. And the thoughts and beliefs and stories and fun that come out of that, I want to share that. Through art, through writing, through this weird combination of both art and writing in bubble mind map form. And of course, video. So without further ado, question of the day. What is your superpower? Wait, before that, what superpower do you want to have? I actually have rankings. So my number one would be to learn all the languages in the world. Just within a snap. Because I love languages, but they take so long to learn. It's such a painful process. And then second would be flying. A childhood dream, everyone has it. Yeah. And then third, probably teleportation, just because I do travel a lot for life. It's a lifestyle. For school, yes. For work, yes. For lifestyle, yes. I just like to travel, so that's the kind of schooling and work opportunities that I look for. Everything's a lifestyle choice. Isn't life fun that way? I think my superpower is rebelling. I'm definitely a rebel. It's just born within me, and I rebel against everything, every social construct, every ideology that society gives me, and even ideologies of my own making. Last month I had an existential crisis in which I completely overthrew my efforts for the last year. Where I thought I was headed, what I thought I believed in. Yeah, it all changed. And now I'm living a quite different lifestyle, I would say. Maybe you do it for the sake of it, because why not? Life is fun. But also, it's more modern and edgy version of critical thinking. Because the reality is, as we're growing up, society is forcing down our throats a lot of its constructs. For example, how girls should behave. For example, what you're supposed to do after high school, college. For example, the importance of internships. As you grow up and become independent, you start to question these things. And it's a good thing, you should. Because society is, whether consciously or not, trying to suppress us and trying to mold us all into the same human being. But imagine what a boring world that would be. I highly recommend Ferguson Bergeron. It's an amazing story about what if everyone is the same. So it's sort of like this utopia turned dystopia. The analogy I like to use is we're born in a random place that we don't know about, and we're surrounded by a million things that we didn't place there. Our environment did. And the only way for us to know who we are, to know what shape we are or like to take, is to bump against those things and see whether I like it or not. And then we can decide, oh, if I like it, then I'll gravitate towards it, or I'll pull it in to become part of me. And then I'll keep wandering. That's life. Life is a series of experiences, and each tell you something more about yourself. And I think the grand vision of life is to live into this authentic version and unique version of yourself. And that's my understanding of the word rebellion in a personal sense. And that, in some sense, is why I'm called undefined artem. It's because I don't want to be tied down to any preconceived labels or stereotypes or terms that society has come up with. I want to always remain fluid and be able to be and do anything that I want.